I think in today's market, where everything is moving, in really today's world where everything is moving so quickly, you have to find a way, especially when you're growing rapidly like we are, to get people on the same page in the quickest manner possible. And this has been a great way for us to connect everyone, both our customers, our clients, our partners, as well as internally together with kind of what learning and teaching means in a tangible way. And
welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow? Do you want a learning organization? Do you want an organization where everyone is participating together and growing as individuals? They're sharing their skills, they're sharing their expertise across the organization. A lot of companies are struggling in this area because they want something like that, but they're not sure how to get there. Well, I'm going to share with you a special story today that really will blow your mind because I'm blown because I didn't think this would be possible. My first inclination was absolutely, this can't be done. Now, what I'm talking about is an organization that has a very technical feel for it, a technical application, the skills to do this. I'll go ahead and call it out. Cybersecurity, very technical. But if they can do it, you probably can too. I reached out to someone in my network that is growing a fast growing company, but doing something unique and creating this learning organization. And I found Mike Gentile. Mike is the founder of CISOSHARE, and they grew at over 3,000%. They were number 88 on the 2019 Inc. list. And it really is impressive to see what they've done just inside their organization, the impact they're making. Well, the reason why they've gotten there is because they've brought in a lot of experts, and those experts are training and cross-training everyone else. Everyone's becoming teachers. Now, I say that with a smile because it really is a very different aspect, because most people have this is your area, stay to your role, stay to your lane, and they've taken that and really turned it sideways. And they've gone to a next level because they've done something really unique. This learning organization has been amplified because they took their frameworks and their methodologies and all the training and the foundations, and they've decided to open that up to people that wouldn't have access to it. They had no technical background, no certifications in cybersecurity, and these people were actually homeless. Yep, homeless. And so they talked about in this interview about how you can create a learning organization within the company and what that means, but also how do you extend it out to the community, and how does that actually feed the company and allow the company to see new areas for growth. That's what's happening inside today's interview with Mike Gentile at CISOSHARE. Now here's the interview with Mike. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I love what I do, and I'm excited to have you. We just talked last week about a very interesting model you have to your business that's really changing things for the industry, probably for you as well inside the company. And I want to get the audience up to speed. I've told them a little bit about the growth of the company, but tell us about what this company does, CISOSHARE.
Awesome. So what we do is help organizations build security programs. So essentially, that's the security team that operates within an organization and takes on cybersecurity related issues. And every organization, whether they're 20 people or 500 billion people, they really have to have 4 capabilities from a security program perspective. The first is the ability to actually define security within the organization. And that's usually done through policies, procedures, and the like. The second capability is the ability to measure against that definition on an ongoing basis in order to get information about what's going on within the organization from a cybersecurity perspective. The third capability is the ability to give that information from those measurement activities against that definition to stakeholders and the powers that be in a way in which they can make informed decisions about what to do. And the final thing is the ability to execute against those decisions. And really, there's 2 ways we look at execution. One is the ability to, hey, you need to implement those firewalls, team, go do it, and then doing it or supporting that execution. And the second is just the ongoing management and performance of all those processes in those different areas that I talked about, so that you can create a system. So all those capabilities working together are what make a security program. And what we do is help organizations with professional services to build those pieces, or we help people with managed services that's in an ongoing basis, performing those tasks instead of hiring internally. And then the final thing we have is a progress-based application that looks at that program system that you have and provides you insight on how to improve it over time in a positive-based way. We like to be really negative in cybersecurity a lot of times, and our focus is really leaning towards that progress-based approach. So
now,
that's what
we're not going to get into the technical aspects of this, but I'm just going to say I'm somewhat technical. Cybersecurity seems like it's really technical.
Yeah. And the thing is, really, since cybersecurity touches everything in an organization, cybersecurity is in the eye of the beholder. If your experience with cybersecurity is antivirus, it's a perfect definition for it. It's adequate. If you're someone that actually thinks it's walking through the security checkpoint at the airport, it's also that. And in fact, really, we do exercises all the time where we work with boards or we work with executive teams, and we ask everyone to define security, what they believe it is within their own organization. And I've never had the same group of people give me the same definition, even within the own organization. And that's really the opportunity and the Achilles heel of cybersecurity, is that if you don't even have it well defined or you're not on the same page, it becomes really hard to then execute and implement, and really make it better within your organization.
Well, my mind was going into that same definition thing, getting people on the same page. You could say the same thing about leadership and culture. Security is definitely one of those things where everyone has their own little flavor to it, if you will, because it's the way they see it. Mike, when you created this organization to grow fast, you really thought about some foundational elements. And we just talked about these the other day. What was the core foundational elements to creating a fast growth company for you?
For us, it was all about, and really building on that lack of understanding and getting people on the same page with a definition. This is my third cybersecurity company, and we really wanted to build it with a learning and teaching foundation and mentality in everything we do. From how we bring people into the organization and get them up to speed, as well as, in the early goings, and even really to this day, when someone joins CISOSHARE, we ask them during the interview process, how are you going to prepare your replacement and organize the day-to-day job that you're doing, so that when someone comes in, you're going to be able to teach them how to do what you're about to do. And it really that answer really gives us some insight into whether they're going to be a fit in the organization. But the biggest reason that we really did that was because we found there's so much confusion and lack of transparency and being on the same page. And because of the nature of security, how it touches everything, you constantly, even if you're the most senior person and have been doing this for a really long time, you constantly have to be learning quickly and then teaching and bringing other people along with ideas, both understanding other people's ideas and maybe teaching others about what their idea is, as well as vice versa, just being able to learn and hear people on their idea. And it really, it's the spirit of what makes a successful effort. So our undertaking and from the beginning was to really try and, from day one, let's try and have that be the primary model that drives CISOSHARE.
Let's pause for a second. Mike just talked about that when you come into this organization, you must prepare for your replacement. Now, I hear this a lot, but a lot of companies fall down in this area because they would really love to have an organization where everyone's rising up. But when Mike talked about creating a learning organization where everyone is sharing their knowledge and skills and their expertise across the organization in different ways, and they've created the different methodologies and frameworks that make this happen, that this is really possible because they really are training others for their replacement. They're not worried about, keeping that expertise for their own. They're creating these experts out there so that the company can grow. This is the kind of teamwork that I think you really want to encourage, and you want people to really want to have the replacements come in right behind them so that they can step up into the next role. Now back to the interview. Well, let's get really specific here. You've created a few different things within the organization that really do embody this we are a learning organization principle. Give us a couple of examples of those, and let's dive deep into the special one, the unique one that I'm so excited to share with the audience.
Yeah. So when we, over 50% of the people that start at CISOSHARE, this is their first cybersecurity job. And this is my third cybersecurity company, but I really thought that if in going with this learning and teaching model, we would be able to prove it from the beginning, right? By kind of just bringing anyone in that had that aptitude, that really wanted to work and learn and teach. So in the early goings, we brought in people and that had the energy and fire to do it. And some of the opportunities was we just put them right into the fire, right? They were really hungry, and we would basically they'd either sink or swim very, very quickly. And we were also still growing because of the needs and security. And we learned that what we needed to do was to really start to create, not just bringing them on from a hungry perspective, but surround them from the beginning with what they needed in order to be successful, both in ongoing procedures of what we're doing that are accurate, supportive mentors, just supportive people to help them along the way, and then to test them in that sink or swim model. And we continued to do that more and more and more. And we found the best way to implement that structure was to actually start having our people be teachers, not just within our organization, but outside of our organization, and explaining those models just to anyone that learned, and it really helped the senior folks start to understand. Okay, you really don't know something until you can teach it, right? So it really helped them in doing that, but it also really helped. It helped when we rolled out these types of programs. The team started working with each other, even for the teacher, on what that teacher was going to teach. So it just spawned off of itself in terms of really getting everyone on the same page.
Hold on for a minute. You really want your employees to be teachers? Well, I think you do. I think you want them to have the kind of aptitude for what they're doing that they can train other people to do it very easily. This whole concept of everyone becoming a teacher gives them the knowledge that they've got to go into deep mastery of their practice or their craft. You don't want people that are surface level. You want people that are great at their jobs, right? Well, if they can't teach someone else, they're probably not that good because they haven't thought of the different angles. And if they prepared for it, this will increase their sense of ownership into their work. Now, this company, CISOSHARE, is using it uniquely because they are going and creating socially conscious programs inside their community for the homeless. Now, you may not have any idea to do that, but what about the power of creating teachers inside your organization? Now, back to the interview with Mike. And you also had some specific things when you're bringing on new people that this is part of the requirement for them to actually teach others their own areas of expertise.
Absolutely. So essentially, we look for aptitudes, right? We look for aptitudes in people that will lead them to be able to learn or teach quickly. So some of the biggest things are how well they write. Many people, even that have graduated, gone through high school and have graduated even college, they can probably write a paper, but they might not be able to write a politically charged email in a way in which they can effectively convey their idea, which is like everything in cybersecurity right now when you're moving. So we started looking at people that could actually, one, organize their thoughts in a way in which they could be clearly understood by the people that they're talking with. And then two, the vehicles that they had to actually deliver those items. So that would be their writing skills. It would be the accuracy of their writing in terms of how well, again, they could convey that idea, as well as their ability to present ideas in a way in which they could both present the idea, but also that they could do it in a way in which it doesn't stoke emotion in people, and can handle kind of the energy behind many cybersecurity conversations these days.
So aptitudes have become a big part of your business. And I don't think this is new to those that are hiring, because there's a saying in leadership and culture that I think it's very common. I don't think it's very commonly actually implemented, but they say hire for fit instead of role.
Yeah.
Or hire for the culture fit instead of the skills that they have.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of the problem there is associated with job descriptions. So job descriptions today are written in a way in which they just basically have all these technical certs and things that people are looking for, so that the recruiting AI interfaces can pick those up and try and connect people. It's really hard in security because, like I said, it touches everything. So those job descriptions are usually a complete and utter, they're all over the place. There's not one human that I know that can do the majority of job descriptions that are out there. Further, the most important thing, as we've kind of talked about, is understanding what someone's definition and where they understand the whole security as it relates to them in a specific situation. And all of that is understood by your ability to learn that and teach quickly, as well as how you communicate with people. And what you find in every job description is you must have good communication skills. We're looking for someone with great communication skills. And that ain't gonna get it done on the job description side. Further, many people that have those aptitudes that make you just unbelievably successful, somebody that works in a restaurant and can basically take an order and understand based on what you're saying, kind of what you really want, and then lead you that way. Those types of things could make you really effective in security, talking with people and understanding emotional elements that come into play in security all the time. Those are really great, but our job descriptions will say something like, you need, 3 years of cybersecurity experience and all these technical certifications in order for us to even let you come into play. And that's what's led to, aside from attacks getting crazy in the cybersecurity world, but there's not enough people that meet that requirement, and they get eliminated before they can even get going in a job. It's just really, it's kind of a bummer, and that's a lot of what we've been trying to break down.
So Mike, I want to let the cat out of the bag here, because you're doing something really unique, and this started, I want to say, back in June. Is that right?
Yes.
Where
yes.
You were really creating a very different way to create employees. I'm gonna let you share what that is and kind of where it came from.
Sure. So we were sponsoring an event at United Way for a corporate soccer cup. And so as a part of that, we got invited to a United Way event where they were talking about overall goals in Orange County. And one of the big goals in Orange County, California, was to bring more people to a livable wage within the environment. So United Way had created an upskills program they called Upskills, which was designed at taking people that were displaced most of the time from a financial perspective, or were going through issues, that had at least a high school diploma and often university degrees, and seeing and establishing a training program that could get them into higher wage jobs in a quicker fashion. And so I was at the event, and I'm like, dude, like literally I talked, and our some of our team was there, and I'm like, this is us, because what they had mentioned was that it was just more technology in healthcare, and no mention of cybersecurity at all. And I literally, walking out, I'm like, we have got to, this is us. Like, let's create a program and really test what we've already been doing in our environment already, but see if we could really do it. And what was so amazing is how open to the idea United Way was. They've really enabled us as partners from the beginning, and it's been pretty unbelievable. But they said, okay, let's give it a try. What does it look like? So we went back, and for me, what was important is not just that we created a training class, but I wanted to remove all of the roadblocks that I'd seen out there, from getting them to where they had no work into working jobs in a sustainable type of approach. And that's what we did from day one with that program.
And I want to get really clear with this. You worked with people that were previously homeless but had the aptitude that you had identified, and you were training them, and then they were getting jobs.
Yeah, so essentially it's a 4-phase program. So what we did in phase 1 is we worked with United Way and their upskill program, which tied into a lot of different social programs that had different people that needed a hand, and many of them were often homeless. And we worked with them on what the aptitudes were like that we were looking for. And what was interesting is we found everyone thought, just as you mentioned at the beginning of this call, I don't think this is going to work because cybersecurity is just technical stuff. It's just technical stuff, and these people are really, really intimidated. So we broke that down and said, these are the aptitudes we're looking for. If you're willing to work hard and give it a shot, come to the class and see how it would go. So we did that, and we sourced people, and then we had a 4-week class where we transitioned people and just gave them an understanding of like where the bathroom is in cybersecurity. Like if I walked into an organization and I was doing a cybersecurity job, like what it looks like, what the team looks like, what it really is. And then also many of the non-security related items that drive the security problem, things like massive technology sprawl, the value of data, right? As data is now worth more than the price of oil and gold, I believe they just recently were saying, well, securing that is the next piece to enabling that. So there's a lot of money. So we walk through those things and train them on what that was. And then the other thing we did is we started to guide them very quickly in specific roles that were in high demand. And we did that to break down one of the other real problems in cybersecurity right now is there's a lot of great certification programs, but the certification programs give you foundational high-level knowledge. They teach you about how to fight a battle and great battles of the past and things to do. They don't teach you about specific jobs and how to do those jobs first. And what we did is we just flipped it. We flipped it. So we teach them how to connect the dots quickly. We select people that have the learning and teaching aptitudes from the beginning so they can actually connect the dots in a quick way. And then we start to guide them very quickly into roles that they can start performing. And then we start giving them the foundation knowledge. So after the 4-week class, also along the way, we're making sure that they're showing up. And we work with them on other roadblocks that keep many of these folks from getting forward. Childcare, transportation, simple things like internet access. It's something that, I just haven't thought about, right? I have my MiFi little device. I can connect from anywhere. But we didn't realize that, some people don't have access to a computer, or they often have a computer, but internet access is as expensive as a car payment these days. So we broke that down. We broke down ways to actually get to the class. All these things that they're big problems to solve, but they're not big problems from a business perspective. Like fixing them financially was not that difficult. So we moved those out of the way. And then we also didn't charge for the class. So we worked on all those things and then made sure they showed up, and we taught them the foundation. And then we gave them homework assignments that tested whether they could communicate their ideas well in written form and video form. And when we did the first class, I don't get nervous that much talking anymore. Like, I don't know that I've ever been so scared showing up that first day, like really knowing what I was kind of getting into, and showed up and we got all the way through. And then the next phase of the class after they make it through that is a paid intern. So we start giving them a paid intern, and then we start further training them on how to do those specific roles that they select towards the end of the class, moving into. And these are super high demand roles in cybersecurity right now, that organizations, they can't fill. And if anyone has even a little bit of experience, people are charging just insane amounts of money with any type of real world experience. So it creates a real opportunity for this program to kind of bring people through. And then that was the final phase, is after they get in the intern, we worked with organizations and we're giving them we give them a discounted rate of basically the livable wage in Orange County, plus a small, just the tax burden and everything. And we give them that rate for 3 to 6 months. And we give them, these organizations, the option of they can hire people at the end and bring them in, and then they'll pay a 30% commission, which I always have in my master service agreements today. No one ever pays, right? Because we normally are giving services. But in this instance, if you take them, you pay, that goes all the way back to the program. Or we've just created a second option, which is you can actually pay that commission and add on to the rate ongoing, and we'll put all that back into the program. So on average, the rate's about $38 an hour if we just do the livable wage and burden, and all that goes to the people who move from being homeless into a livable wage in Orange County. Organizations are generally used to paying at least probably about $90 to $100 an hour, up to $200 an hour in today's market for those rates. So there's a huge spread for them to actually do this. So with some, we're now saying, well, if you actually pay a little bit more of that on the hourly rate going forward, we'll roll that back into the program as well. And we actually, all the people that we put through the first class have been engaged in that model. And so they're actually now, over 3 months, will generate 1.8 people going back through the program and moving into a livable wage. So it's pretty unbelievable what ends up happening all the way through, and it becomes a repeatable system.
So I want to dive into this a little bit. I know we're running out of time, so
Sure.
I'm going to ask you to keep your answers pretty quick.
Yes.
A big part of this is to create a socially conscious business. So why is that important to you in what you're doing?
The first reason, when we originally started as an entrepreneur, is it enables, I've always told people, we could not make it, but we've done a lot of good along the way, and they won't be able to take that away from us. So in the beginning, when we started socially conscious programs, I always was bigger on those programs. I tell people, hey, maybe we don't make it because we're a risky startup, but hey, we've done a lot of good. That's how we started. What we found in the realm of cybersecurity is that it just makes sense. It makes sense because of the staffing problem. It also makes sense in that, getting people to a livable wage and the homeless issues, especially here in California, is a major issue. And we can solve it because of the nature of cybersecurity, the demand of it, and how to make that happen. The second reason that we really chose to be a socially conscious provider of cybersecurity at CISOSHARE is because we're in cybersecurity. So we're always bumming out leaders. Like, we're giving them bad news. You have high risk here. You need to fix that there. You need to do all these things. And we want to give people that information, and we offer those services. But we also are really moving to this progress model and positive messaging to actually get people to improve quicker. And that just ties in better with the socially conscious model. If you look at somebody, that goes to work out, like the way most cybersecurity works is like they basically just have an instructor telling them how fat they are over and over and over and over and over again. That's the nature of cybersecurity in many places. You're risky here, you're that. What we're doing is we're starting to move to a positive based messaging where we focus on great, you're a little overweight. We're going to stop there. But these are the things you can do to start losing weight quicker and making progress faster. And we actually think that in that model, that the side effect to that is risk reduction, which is the big thing in cybersecurity. But it's a completely different way of doing it. And we do believe we're the only cybersecurity company going that way. But it's another thing that has really kind of driven the company. And as it relates to many social programs, it's all about not where you are now. It's about how you can make progress to get to where you need to be and the good that that can create. And that's why this program just has really worked out well.
So I say this jokingly, you don't have a short answer in you, do you?
I know. I'm sorry. I apologize.
We're going to land the plane.
And you do it excellently too, in terms of giving the feedback, and I still sucked. And so I very much apologize. I'm highly passionate about this issue.
We're going to land the plane here. One thing that I want to connect the dots on for you to do this for the audience is you've created a learning organization. And, from an outside world, training homeless people doesn't seem like there's that much connection, but your people are actually doing the training, right? So yes. You're taking your frameworks, you're taking your methodologies, and you're training these homeless people. Is that making sure that's correct, right?
Yes, absolutely. And great
short answer.
Yes. Short answer for you. We got there.
And the real benefit behind this is, it goes back to what you first started, is like, if we really believe in creating a learning organization, we're bringing in these experts with different domains of expertise. They're teaching us to raise the bar. And now we're teaching others outside the company that are feeding into your business in a very socially conscious way. And everything is rising up. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, I really appreciate you walking us through this model, because I think a lot of people would originally go, this is outside my budget. It's outside my abilities and capabilities as an organization, but you didn't make those excuses. You look for areas to jump in. So I really congratulate you.
Thank you.
Creating this learning organization, I think, is a real different perspective. That a lot of people think they have it, but they really aren't doing the work. And you're actually doing it not only inside the organization, but externally to create and raise this for your community. And hopefully other people will follow suit.
Yeah, I hope so. It's definitely been pretty life-changing for me, and I know a lot of the people on our team. It's been a great time, and really kind of driven us forward. And we're excited. We're really excited to see where it goes.
I want to give you a chance to just add one little bit into it. What's the importance of having a learning organization that other leaders that are listening in today should take away from this interview?
I think in today's market, where everything is moving, in really today's world where everything is moving so quickly, you have to find a way, especially when you're growing rapidly like we are, to get people on the same page in the quickest manner possible. And this has been a great way for us to connect everyone, both our customers, our clients, our partners, as well as internally together with kind of what learning and teaching means in a tangible way. And so I think that that's been the best element of the program, and really helped us moving forward. And I think the more ways that an organization can create something that people can look at it from their own perspective, but it's kind of the same thing, it connects everyone, and everyone gets a good understanding of the overall direction of what you're trying to accomplish. And so, it's kind of like the stone soup, right? We've kind of created a stone soup, and it's gotten everyone on the same page, understanding everyone's pieces. And it's really needed for us because we're growing so rapidly in a complex discipline like cybersecurity.
Well, I think a lot of companies are facing the same problems. You've addressing it in a very unique way, which is what I'm excited to share this story with the audience at Growth Think Tank. So, Mike, thank you for being here. CISOSHARE is really impressive what you're doing, and I can't wait to hear more of the stories of homeless people learning cybersecurity and really proving out this model.
Awesome. Thanks, Gene. It's been fun.
Really love this interview because it really, breaks some patterns that are normal to learning organizations and creating training across the company. And it really is exciting to share these different kinds of stories because you may be struggling with the silos in your company. You may be struggling with, not enough people know all the aspects they need to really create the kind of impact you want and grow at the speed you want. So maybe you found this interview as helpful as I think it is. I think a really important thing there is creating this socially conscious business, proving that your own training is so good and so impactful that in 4 weeks, it could actually impact a homeless person to get a job. Really would be impressive to me if I was a hiring manager or hiring leader of this kind of services that they offer. So I really appreciate you listening in to today's interview. Hopefully you found it helpful, and hopefully it's challenged you to step up your game in the area of leadership. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.